The Senate yesterday denied being in possession of the ministerial list from President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. It noted that while it was waiting in the wings to do justice to any communications sent to it by the president, no one had violated the law when it comes to the issue of appointment of ministers. Speaking last night, spokesman of the Senate, Yemi Adaramodu, said they were yet to receive the ministerial list. The Red Chamber was responding to reports by some media platforms, voptv not included, that President Tinubu had sent the names of his ministers to the Senate for screening and confirmation. But Adaramodu punctured the said reports, urging Nigerians to be patient, stating that President Tinubu will do the right thing for the country. The reports gained wide traction, especially because the Senate went into a closed-door session ostensibly to discuss the list. Senate President Godswill Akpabio led the way for the meeting at about 11:59 a.m. after the Senate leader Opeyemi Bamidele made the announcement. It was thought that the list of nominees was already creating problems amongst the senators, which was why the meeting was called. A source also said that the Senate President had met with major stakeholders on Wednesday in a meeting that lasted several hours. Now, another for us to talk deeply into this, right here in the studio with me to look into these issues properly is Evans Ufeli. He is a legal practitioner, and also joining us virtually is Solomon Ndahi, a social commentator as well as a journalist. Evans Ufeli, good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to VOP this morning. It is quite interesting with this particular ministerial list situation. For 3 days now, we've heard that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu will send the ministerial list to the Senate for them to consider in terms of approval. Yesterday, we heard that the list was definitely going to go to the Senate, as in it was. They gave us certified information that it will definitely be at the Senate yesterday. But up to now, we haven't actually, seen anything about the list. And then it's beginning to look like there is something unclear, or there is something shady about the list getting sorted, either by the presidency or the Senate. What's your take on that?
Well, I don't think there's anything shady about the list because
Okay.
President Tinubu just clocked 50 days in office, right? The law says that that appointment must be made within 60 days. So between now and next week, that list must be out because they're already running short of time, as it were. So whether the list is ready or not ready, the fact is that there's a law. There is a time lag within which that list must get to the National Assembly, and that is not even the procedure. The president will first of all make the announcement and then forward the list.
Make the announcement in terms of naming those on the list, or announce that the list is ready before forwarded to the Senate?
No, announce the respective persons.
Oh,
and
really?
then before, yes.
So why is he not announcing it first?
I don't know because if you look at previous administration, the government will first of all announce those who have been, appointed and all that, and the portfolios. Okay, then they will forward to the National Assembly. The process continues at the National Assembly. It's the National Assembly that will do the clearance.
That's the screening.
Yes.
Where they will ask them questions.
They will ask them questions. And any person that, in the estimation of the National Assembly, is not qualified based on that oversight function, will be dropped at that level. Okay, so that is the procedure. They have the right to do so, even though they don't exercise that. They exercise it in breach. Sometimes they don't really ask very significant questions, which also reflect on why we have the kind of government we have. So I don't think we should bother ourselves so much as to where is the list. In fact, there are a lot of lists lying all over the place. And the president had also delayed this unnecessarily. The fact that you have a 60-day window by law does not mean you must exhaust it. It just on or before, you need to do something about this, because the government must, they have to kick the ball rolling. They have to provide good governance, okay?
Yes.
And that's the reason they were voted. That's if actually they were voted in as
There are feelers that the reason why this list has not been announced particularly or why we've not heard exactly what the list, who has been nominated in the list, is because some of the National Working Committee members and some House of Representative members are not happy with the list, possibly because maybe their own candidates that they've lobbied to the president were not listed, or that based on whatever pre-arrangement they have had before now was not considered in the list. Do you think that is basically one of the reasons why it's being delayed?
It could be because there's a lot of lobbying going on, and then they have turned this appointment into a survival mandate. I mean, people want to just, they are not even, I mean, this set of persons who are lobbying to bring this person in, it's not for good governance, just for what they can extract from the system. And the country called Nigeria is crying because everyone is extracting, nobody's giving back. So I look at the Senate, the same Senate, look at what they are doing. They are not getting it right from the beginning. The 10th Senate, I must say it, they are not getting it right. A lot of things that we thought they will correct, you know, upon the assumption of office, given that so many of them are experienced, they are not doing it. Okay, so it could be the reason. A lot of persons worked in quote for the government, and you know how politicians operate. They will tell you that those who worked will be compensated in one way or the other. So during campaigns and during all the, you go and deliver your state, your local government, your region, and in return, this is what you will get. And a lot of persons were promised. And you know that the number of ministers that's required, I mean, just 46. Okay, so by the time you make promises around the state and everywhere, because you want to win elections, when you get on board to work, you cannot actually appoint every person that you have promised. So you have that problem there. You have the problem of traditional rulers sending lists of their nominees. You have the problem of a past president, you know, sending their list and all that. So we have so many things. So to govern Nigeria is not easy. It's not easy because it's not because it is like just people just go there to survive. Okay, when a country is structured that way, that you just want to get an appointment so that you can
sort yourself out.
Yes, sort yourself out financially, and you want to be relevant and all that. You are going to keep having this kind of problem. Even though it does not really matter who is appointed or who is not appointed. If you work, fine. You are appointed, fine. If you are not appointed, fine. The most important is that the person who is appointed, does he have capacity? Can he deliver? If, for example, I am marked to be on that
that's just what I wanted to ask. I said, if you're appointed
and I don't get it, whoever gets it, so long as the person is competent and all that, I will not quarrel with the system. Okay, because this thing should not be about survival at all costs, do or die every time. That's why we encourage politicians to have something doing. Most of them, they don't have anything they are doing. It's politics. Politics is not a profession. Yeah, it's not a profession, it's not a career. But I mean, we think that it's a profession, it's a career, we must get appointed or nothing will happen and all that. So it's a wrong way to approach governance. It means that ab initio you are going there to extract. It's not to serve, because if it was to serve, I know countries where, I mean, you know, when people get into office, they become poorer. Okay, even in the US, there are certain positions you hold. They will tell you this is your salary, this is the. Sometimes where you are coming from, you are earning more than that. If for the prestige and every other thing, doors it opens in terms of goodies here and there, respect and all that. It's not necessarily to earn money, to begin to acquire property all over the place and to even steal. So
you're really talking about the fact that corruption is the headline of everything.
Very well. Basically. Corruption is at the base of this whole thing.
Now, another thing to consider is the fact that, I mean, based on, I think, Business Day, they said that as of yesterday, the ministerial list was actually ready because those who have been nominated have actually gone through preliminary security checks. So if they have gone through preliminary security checks, then, and the president hadn't announced, like you said, the procedure is that he was supposed to announce these individuals who have been nominated before the proceeding continues. But we have not seen any names, and they've gone through security checks.
Yes.
So why is it different with his own tenure? And then second is also saying that one of the reasons why there is a delay is considering the ongoing intrigues within the All Progressives Congress, which I asked earlier. That could it be that there are some National Working Committee members who are not happy with those who were mentioned in the list. And
Yeah,
that's why we're
everybody will
seeing the
not be
delay.
happy. Everybody will not be happy with the list, even within the party, because the positions cannot go round. Okay, when you talk about National Working Committee, you know how many persons per state. By the time you put that number together, it won't work. So they should also understand that there's a limited space for this. And because there's a limited space, everybody cannot be appointed. So those who are lucky, let them, if they have capacity and if they have track record and pedigree, we shouldn't quarrel with that. They should go ahead, okay? If it's to serve Nigeria, okay, we're supposed to go and serve our country and not become richer by service. We should contribute our quota to the development of the country. I know this is very strange. This thing I'm saying this morning, I'm just talking. I know no, politicians don't want to hear this thing I'm saying, but it is the truth. We have to come to serve, okay? If we want to move our country from point A to point B, it is a call to service. It's not the time to start to argue on who should be, who should not be. My candidate is not on the list, is on the list and all that. This government have a case in court. I hope they are aware. They have a lot on the. It's not. They have not succeeded as such because
there was a speculation that went round for the past 2 days. Although the appeal court has come to debunk it.
Yes.
Because I asked myself, I said, for that kind of story to have circulated, even if the appeal court said they're basically rumors and some mischief makers writing stuff like that, but it was too. I don't know how to describe it, but let's not delve into it. Okay, so apparently the president has not relocated to the official residence. That's the Aso Rock Villa itself. Apparently, the thought is because he wants to settle his political allies. Settle them in form of what? Is this ministerialist part of the settling?
Well, it is the president that will define what he means by settling his allies, because you see the definition of governance. Sometimes, like if you see the ministerial list now, you will find out that the ministerial appointment you have in the last administration, you may have dissimilarities in the current administration, even if it's the same function. They are not the same. You have Minister for Labor and Productivity in the past one. The one before the past one was Minister of Labor and something else. Okay, so whatever that is, the most important thing is that he's picking the right persons. And this should go even beyond the party, because sometimes there's a serious pressure on the president that everybody must come from the party that will function in the government. If we have somebody who's from a different political party that have capacity, like in the US, Obama picked someone who contested against him, okay, because he knows that, okay, this person has capacity, irrespective of the fact that we are from different political leaning, okay, but if the person has capacity, why not? The person is qualified, why not? So, but in Nigeria, our politics have not grown to that level. We are still doing politics of vendetta and brigandage.
In fact, based on this statement you've made, it says, we're sure that as soon as the issue of his ministers is settled and the case at the tribunal is done with, he'll move into the villa. By then, he would have taken care of a lot of things. Why wait for the issue at the tribunal to be done with? I don't think he should be considering how the tribunal turns out. You said in your campaign that you're going to kick the ground running when you come in, so it means that those who would help you in terms of setting up your cabinet, your ministerial nominees, all of those ought to have been thought about while you were still campaigning, when you were confident you were going to win. So the question now is, do you think the issue at the election tribunal could be one of the reasons why a lot of things are being stalled?
It's possible. But Esther, the way you are talking like our leaders are people who are prepared for governance. I mean, you see, look at how the president removed subsidy. He just pick a paper and a microphone, and just the subsidy is gone. Then 40 days into his administration, started thinking on how to cushion the an afterthought. That is a very essential commodity that will affect the life of everybody including the child in the womb. You just speak, say it's gone. Then as an afterthought, you are not saying, okay, 8,000 naira per family for 12 family. I mean, are we ready? Are we ready for governance? We're not ready, because the way you're talking like, okay, shouldn't you have prepared his cabinet?
Because that's the ideal thing to do.
Yeah, that's the ideal thing to do. We don't do it here. Governance is an afterthought here. You just want to be president. The rest is just an afterthought.
Let me remind you. You recall during his campaign, he said, this election, I will win it.
Yes,
he said he certified it. He was emphatic,
yeah.
so he knew from the onset that he was going to win it, regardless of anything. You get it. So if you knew you were going to win the election, then the preparations should have started off from then. That's basically why I'm asking this question.
Yeah, that is what a normal, rational person will ask. It is logical that okay, you started with the Miloko. You were not even talking about opposition. You said it's your turn. And when the election approached, they asked you will win. You won. Okay, now that you have won, you came into office. Fine. Subsidy was not budgeted for that. But you have no plan on how to cushion the effect of the ripple effect of the removal. And it shows you that it's an indication that the government is thoughtless, completely thoughtless. Because you should have done what you ought to do to ensure that you have a shock absorber, something that will absorb the shock, okay, that is going to befall the people. And that is not the only thing. You have so many issues too that you just discover that these people are not prepared. They are not ready for governance. Even though they tell you they will win, they are ready. Their actions, show you that they are not there.
All right, a part of that particular development is considering the exit or the resignation of Abdullahi Adamu, who is a former APC national chairman. And the speculation is that being the fact that he has resigned, it may actually alter the ministerial list, part of which is why they haven't announced the names or they haven't submitted it to the Senate. But the question now is, sometimes the lawmakers sound like they are the president's spokesperson. So what exactly is the duty of the senators regarding the list?
The duty of the senators is predicated on Section 88 and Section 89 of the 1999 Constitution, which is encapsulated in oversight function. Oversight function, clearance, approval of finance, of appointments, of so many things, okay, there. Parliament is a focal point, it's a fulcrum of democracy. It's a fulcrum. They are the center of democratic engagement. Okay. So whatever they do, their actions and inactions affect us all. Because whatever decision they take is a decision all of us have taken. Because it's representative government, they are there in representative capacity. So whatever they do, we are doing. It's because there is no venue actually where all of us can converge and take decisions. That's why we have National Assembly. And that is why all of them came from all the extractions around the country by representative capacity. So they are not supposed to be functioning as the spokesperson of the president. In fact, they are supposed to be making sure that the president sits right and take right decisions. Okay, if you notice in the days of Obasanjo's government, we saw how the National Assembly, particularly the House of Rep, even the lower assembly, headed by Gali Naaba then, almost took Obasanjo out. On 3 occasions, they made an attempt to impeach him. On 3 occasions. Okay, but what we have today,
it's not it.
It's not it. It's not it. We're running away. We're running farther away from democratic engagement.
What was experienced during the time of Saraki at the time?
Saraki's 8th assembly.
Yes, 8th assembly.
8th assembly. Okay, did very well to have
in terms of questioning whatever it was President Buhari, was
questioning and refusing to approve where they find out that you are going to have. If it were that assembly. This reckless removal, would amount to summoning the president. Okay,
they actually did. I mean, during that 8th assembly, they summoned the president when he was being booed. Yes. That was during his first tenure.
Yes.
Okay, so Barrister Evans, there are certain things that, when it comes to politics and governance, that we need to, differentiate. For example, would you know that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is a political strategist? But do you think that he's an administrator? The difference, the reason why I'm asking this question is, yes, he was 2-time governor in Lagos State. A couple of persons felt he did some things, he took some initiative that a normal person may not have thought about, which is the creation of more local governments. I recall that the federal government refused to recognize those LCDAs, and he was proactive by implementing tax reforms that would help those local governments survive and float. But that was Lagos State. Do you think at this time, when he got to Aso Rock, occupying that seat, it's a different template he has seen and he's possibly overwhelmed?
It's a different template entirely, truly. I know he understands taxation. That's his area. I mean, when he worked in a U.S. Mobile and all that, he's an accountant. That is his area. Taxation is important to tax, okay? But you don't tax people who are hopeless. You don't tax people who cannot even feed themselves. Taxation should come with some level of economic stability, okay, so that you can extract, okay, from the people. Okay, so I'm not in the team of the government, but I feel that the government is not, the government appears to understand the issues.
Okay.
Okay, but the strategies and method, okay, to deploy the necessary manpower and resources to put the country on track is not there. Much so because the country also have been led by a previous thoughtless leader for 8 years. A leader that was unaware of everything that was happening in the country. Everything. Very critical decisions of state, he was unaware. So this president too is going to suffer from that. And he needs to put his thinking cap on. It is you see, Nigerians don't have that patience any longer too. We cannot wait and die. We can't do that. So you have to provide solution to the problem. That is the reason you are there. So whatever it is that has made the president overwhelmed or the team overwhelmed and all that, they should go back to the drawing board and they should do it early.
Okay.
They should do it early so that they don't go the way of the government before this one. Because that will be the greatest tragedy of the Nigerian state, to have 16 years, okay, of wilderness experience. Because some person said that they should have given us a certificate of survival. Surviving Buhari is like, surviving Buhari, living under Buhari's government is like taking a toothbrush to brush the teeth of a crocodile. Because it was horrible, okay? And this is the same political party. So this government must correct it. It shouldn't take us further into the mud.
You do know that yesterday there was a purported video that went viral where President Bola Ahmed Tinubu said he was going to crash oil prices. It was actually a breaking story yesterday, and that was during his campaign, where he said, we do know that you're suffering. Recall that it was during the cash crunch. Before the cash crunch, we had fuel scarcity. It was alternating. After adulterated petrol, then fuel scarcity, then Naira crunch, again fuel scarcity. So he said that part of his campaign promises was that he was going to crash oil prices, and the video actually went viral, but that is not what we're experiencing now. And like you were saying earlier, that the federal government, this particular administration, seem not to be ready, because they have asked the National Executive Committee to distribute grains to some states, or to states across the federation within 2 weeks, to cushion the effect of subsidy removal, which has affected food and the prices of food. But is that enough, considering the current economic reality? Is that enough, though?
When you say grains to who?
Like maize, rice.
Yes, I understand. I understand that they should distribute it to people and all that.
To states. Said they directed the National Emergency Management Agency to immediately distribute grains to states within 1 or 2 weeks to bring down the price of food items across the country. How is that going to bring down the food of
How practicable is that? Because I remember during the lockdown when contributions and donations were made like this, they were locked up somewhere. Some persons took them to go and sell. Some persons said that they will open the warehouse on his birthday and all that. So how practicable is this? Is there a way these citizens can access it directly from government without engaging third parties? Are we ready for it? Are we prepared? Okay. And for those who talk about crashing the price of oil and all that, you see, I've said it repeatedly that the most confused persons among us Nigerians are those economics that say
those economic analysts
and that say that market forces will crash the price of oil, fuel and all that. That does not work here. The economics of this country, as it relates to subsidy and fuel and all that, these market forces don't work. Because, okay, now they've removed the subsidy. Where's the market forces crashing it? It's taking it up. Okay? So that's why I say that they are confused. So they should just, maybe just, we don't understand this. We've had a lot of situations that have defied economic principle in Nigeria. Many of them, part of it was the last cash crunch and the rest of it. Okay, and now this subsidy, where the market forces, we don't know where the market forces are. So I think that this government should distribute grain if they want to do so, but they must get the strategies right. They must, and would that distribution actually force the price down? Have they done that research, that survey proper?
That's it.
Because what they're trying to do is that, okay, if we bring it out, there will be a lot of supply. Because by the elementary economics, where you have a lot of supply, prices are likely to go down. Okay, but for how long the government intend to do this? Is it for the 6 months that the 8,000 naira was supposed to cover? How long were they supposed to do this? Because why the government was talking about that 8,000 naira, they increased the price of tariff for electricity.
I heard that the Senate, the House of Reps, has said that should be stored for now.
Yes, that should be stored. There was an attempt to do that, okay, and you have an intervention, okay. But if you look at the general cost of living between last year and now, things have changed. Okay, a bag of rice, what it used to be 4 months ago, is not what it is today. Okay, because of that, for whatever. And the people who are also operating the marketplace, the informal sector, who run the marketplace, don't care whether what they are bringing to the market, okay, whether cost of transportation has increased, whether they have it in stock before the increment, they just increase the price. Okay, so that is part of the problem we're facing. So if you don't want all these things to happen, you are supposed to, that's why I'm a very strong advocate of subsidy. Keep that subsidy. Yes, keep it.
No matter how expensive it is
yes,
to run the
go
government,
and fight the people that are manipulating say some people are benefiting from it. Go there and look for them and get them, because that's the only thing Nigerians enjoy. So why should you remove it? And now you have removed it, you are not confused. You are not looking for alternative. That alternative is not also working. It won't work.
In fact, in regards to the ministerialist, because that was what was mentioned, that's the reason why the ministerialist is being properly considered. Yes. He wants persons who will help drive his economy better. You recall that during former President Muhammadu Buhari's tenure, there were some ministers who were appointed who literally do not even understand the fundamentals of the portfolio they were occupying. Persons of the Minister of Education at the time, who eventually told us that when he took over that position, he knew nothing about what the educational sector was, and we saw what transpired, the length of the ASU strike that was experienced at the time. That's because at the foundation, whoever was in charge knew nothing about it.
Even the Minister of Interior said similar thing.
Now look at the fact that the CNPP is accusing this current administration, that is President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, of deceit in the subsidy issue. They are literally saying that it's obvious that he knew what he was doing from the onset, beyond the fact that subsidy removal is to terminate those who have utilized the platform for corrupt purposes. And they're saying that the arbitrary increase in the pump price of petrol showed the insincerity of the president in addressing the plight of Nigerians. The complaint about the fuel price hike caused by his announcement, and then less than 2 months after, another fresh pointer that the APC has never been sincere with Nigerians. You think that that's basically what is already at play? Well, lack of sincerity from this administration?
I don't think it's a lack of sincerity. I think their target actually was to make sure that those benefiting, because it's been government have been complaining about that for long.
Okay.
That those benefiting from this subsidy thing, they don't bring anything, and they tell you that they collude with NNPC and DPR and all that. And at the end of the day, they get very wide balance sheets, and they submit it to government. It is stamp and approve, and that's all. Those amount of money in trillions are paid to them, and they go back and get kickback to the people in government, the officials who help them to get this one, retire it accordingly. So that corruption is what they are trying to end. So nobody will come with balance sheet again and say, I brought in this and give me the subsidy. That's the differentials. Okay, nobody will come and do that again. But is that the solution? When you now remove that, nobody comes to government again, and the people who hitherto had benefited from it because of the price range, what now happens to them if you succeed in stopping the people who are benefiting from it unjustly, how do you take care of the persons who are benefiting from it by virtue of their citizenship and loyalty to the country? You didn't consider that. Okay, so why were you not able to get forensic accountants, do forensic auditing?
In fact, in regards to the questions you're asking at this time, the group are actually asking that they back the House, the House of Assembly, for saying that we need to investigate the overnight destruction of a vessel, recently with a stolen Nigerian crude without proper investigation of who the culprits are. You didn't tell us who these individuals are that own these vessels that you destroyed. You didn't allow for proper investigation, and you destroyed the crude that we're currently looking for that could have possibly helped, to alleviate the price of petroleum products. So again, the question now is it about who is in charge of some certain things? Because it's almost like the logical thing to do is what is thought after the damage has been done.
Yeah, it's a whole lot of issues. We have corruption in the helm of affairs. People are corrupt, that is heavily corrupt, okay? And the EFCC that is supposed to get a hold of them have no capacity whatsoever to do that, because EFCC is also being accused of corruption as we speak. EFCC is even standing public trial as we speak now, okay? Yes. So the issue is so difficult to analyze. Difficult to analyze in the sense that is destruction the solution? You are supposed to seize and investigate. Every vessel belongs to somebody or a company, okay? And that vessel or that comes from a country, carries the country's flag, okay? The vessel have a name, okay? And a birth in there's a process, okay, where records are taken and all that. So if you have all that and you have a marine police, okay, you have surveillance, you have the Navy, okay, within the seashore. If these persons are patriotic to the cause of this country, if they are patriotic to the generation that is coming after them, it is only logical that they put an end to what is going on. Okay, put an end to this oil theft, because it's part of the problem we have. We have enough resources to go around. How many are we? Even the 200 million that we're talking about, the resources we have far outweigh that population. That population is quite meager. I was discussing with a friend of mine when they came from Namibia, and he told me, Evans, why are your people complaining? You are still buying the fuel for less than $1. I said, don't go there. Don't come near me with that. See, I said, as I speak to you, my village is sitting on.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. We see, you are from Namibia, you don't have it. He said, yes, we don't. What we have is grain, we extract gold and all. I said, that is our own. In fact, I told him we should be buying it in cents, if possible, because we have it. And I told him, he does not even know that we take the crude out to refine outside.
And then very important. We'll buy it
again. That is even why we're buying it less than $1. We should be buying it in cents. Okay? So I told him that, and he was surprised. Okay, why don't you fix? I said, that's the problem. Now, why don't you fix? When I ask government, why they have not been able to fix refinery? What is the solution to our problem, really? Is it not to fix the refinery? What does it cost to fix the refinery? There's a company that brew beer in Lagos, in Nigeria. They're all over the place. It's the same process. It's the same machine, the same everything. They use a refining crude. Refine it and get it to
in fact, the Nigerian, on the headlines this morning, it said the Nigerian, the military recently destroyed some illegal refineries. Why destroy these illegal refineries? Why not try to, uphold them?
Yeah, they will tell you that they don't have license to operate. That is why you are destroying them. Meanwhile, the ones you are taking the crude, you are taking it abroad to go and refine. Are those refineries, are they approved to refine oil for us by our laws? They are not now. It's illegal to even take it out. We are supposed to even go to court, file a case against government. Get a restraining order to restrain government from taking crude out. Yeah, because the refineries that are taking it to, they are not licensed to refine our crude. That should be the case the entire country should pursue. occupy the National Assembly, occupy the president, occupy everywhere, get a restraining order, restrain them. Let them not take anything out of this country again they should get the crude and distribute it to all those illegal refineries, all those refineries they are calling illegal refineries, and they are working, they have capacity. Why don't you upgrade them, give them a soft loan, give them license to operate, make sure this thing is monitored, then we have this. But if you do that, a lot of persons are going to lose. So those persons will make sure that we keep having this problem that we're having.
Thank you, Barrister Evans. You're still going to stay with us for the second segment of the program. All right, thank you for your report. Now, a federal high court in Abuja has ordered the Department of State Services, DSS, to allow the detained leader of the proscribed Indigenous People of Biafra, IPOB, Nnamdi Kanu, access to doctors of his choice and medical records. Justice Binta Nyako issued the order on Thursday in a judgment on a suit filed for Kanu by his team of lawyers, led by Mike Ozekame, a senior advocate of Nigeria. Now, Justice Nyako held that Kanu was constitutionally entitled to be allowed to access both medical doctors of his choice and his medical records despite being held in custody. The judge, however, ordered that any independent medical assessment or examination to be carried out on Kanu by his personal medical experts should be supervised by the DSS, with the whole process recorded and sealed for security purposes. Kanu had in the suit demanded that his doctors should be allowed to conduct an independent examination on him to ascertain his actual state of health. Now, of course, like I already introduced to you earlier, that I still have with me in the studio a Barrister Evans Ufeli. It is quite an interesting development when we heard what came out from the court yesterday. So this is about possibly the third or fourth time we're hearing the order from the court to actually let the DSS, tell the DSS to grant Nnamdi Kanu access to his medical records and to his doctors, after his lawyers have on several occasions pleaded that Nnamdi Kanu's health was gradually deteriorating at the DSS custody. Finally, we've seen that. Is it possible that the DSS may not obey this order?
It's possible. DSS have consistently disobeyed the orders of court. And I don't know why the legal team of Nnamdi Kanu have not filed a contempt proceedings against the DSS. There should be a contempt proceeding because it's contempt of court to disobey court order. Now you are granting him access to his medical doctor. You're not talking about bail. It's painful. This order, I don't want to call it an order that is. I don't want to call it names. That order is not appropriate.
Really?
Yes.
What should the order have been?
She should emphasize, even though there's a standing order already, that he be released on bail. Okay, that is the issue we should keep revisiting. Let him be released on bail, because it looked like the court is helpless. The court have said somebody should be released on bail, and then one institution, in quote, held the person in bondage. Then the court is now struggling with already a subsisting order. It's now giving another ancillary order that they should allow him to now have access to his doctor, not bail. You saw that. It's not. So this is not.
So it means that he's not leaving the DSS custody. It's possibly for doctors to be let in to examine him.
That is how it sounds.
It's not like any reprieve as his team has been requesting for.
He should be released unconditionally, or because they have released him on bail. Let somebody take him on bail, and then terms of all that, so that he can, because he has a right as a citizen, no matter what you think he has done or did not do. He's a citizen of the country. Every citizen have a right to life, right to
But do you think the reason why he's still being detained is because of the first time he was released, he was meant to go to court for his trial, but rather traveled out and refused to return until he was...
That is not what happened.
Okay.
What happened was that he was released. Okay. He was in his village, in his father's house, when the father's house was invaded by the military, by the Operation Python Dance, and a lot of persons were killed. Part of the family members were killed. So he ran away in self-defense. Yes, in self-defense.
But the reason...
So many of us thought that he was even killed then. Yes. All of a sudden, now resurfaced. He escaped death. That should not be held against him. It should not be held against him. He didn't jump bail. The federal government, because he was going to court from home. He was doing that. He had gone to court on several occasions from home before they invaded the place. What is he supposed to do? Self-defense is part of our laws.
But according to what the DSS said, that part of the reasons why they invaded his home was that he kept on making comments, inciting comments.
Yeah, he was doing that.
He was stoking the polity.
He was doing
and he
that.
was not meant to do that since his case was already in court.
Yes, I know he was doing that. Quite all right. But what you should have done is to go and pick him, not to invade
his home and shoot him discriminately.
Yeah, killing people. You should have gone there, pick him, and say, okay, you are even in contempt, because part of the terms of bail was that you shouldn't make even public. I saw that as a violation. You understand? That quite clear. He violated that. But to go there with the operation, the entire battalion, as if you are going to war, just against one person, it does not speak well of the government. And you chased him into oblivion. Now, you got your way around him again and arrested him. The court have said you should release him. What you do is to release him. Because one thing that Buhari has done in his administration is that he has destroyed the fabrics that held the judiciary together. He started it from removing Onoge, by removing Onoge unceremoniously.
Okay.
Someone who is to the judiciary what Buhari is to the executive. He concocted his removal. And we were all shouting that the president should be called to order. I mean, at the end of the day, nothing really significant happened. Then later, you run into this issue again. And when the court has given an order, you keep violating the orders of the court.
It is something to actually worry for.
Yes, the orders of court are sacred. They should be obeyed as they are handed down.
So what do you think his legal team should do now? What do you think are the next step for Nnamdi Kanu's legal team to do now? What should they use this opportunity to file for something like you said, release him on bail as soon as possible?
Yeah, they should file a contempt proceeding against the federal government, so that whoever is in charge of the DSS or whoever that have refused to let him go will be committed to prison. It's not the president now, because it looks like the president wants to hold him down. Well, it looks so, but if the institution responsible for his custody keeps him, it means that that institution is violating the law. Of course, the president cannot be tried, but whoever heads that institution does not have immunity under the law. Okay, and since the person does not have immunity under the law, he can be the court can take an action against that person for contempt.
It's this development. Some persons will say, recall that about 2 or 3 days ago, when Emefiele was strongly in the news, they likened the case of Nnamdi Kanu to Emefiele. Emefiele that was detained for 1 month before the DSS realized that they needed to file whatever charges they had to file against him in court. So it took the lawyers to do something about it.
Yes.
Then you realize that recently as well, the DSS, I think we had this conversation yesterday, where they complained that the lawyer representing Emefiele is a lawyer who was representing the supposed proscribed group members in the person of Nnamdi Kanu. And the DSS made some derogatory comments via social media on their Twitter handle. Some persons would have thought that by now they would have dropped that comment to say, oh, whoever it is that's in charge of our social media team was not educated enough to or sensitive enough by what they wrote up, but they haven't denied it. They haven't dropped it down. They didn't say anything addressing it.
Yeah, I mean, the level of ignorance in that institution called the DSS is mind-boggling.
Is the DSS not supposed to act covertly?
Yes, they're supposed to act covertly. They are supposed to be discreet and very professional. Discreet and professional, that is the word. But they are not professional because they think that their function is allegiance only to the president. And so to buy favor, unceremonious favor from the president, they think that acting unprofessional is what will give them the credence. It is quite wrong. And this is because the head of the organization appears not to understand what it... I mean, a lawyer can represent anybody. Okay? A lawyer's job is it does not matter whether the lawyer that is representing Nnamdi Kanu is the one that is representing Mefele or the one that, it does not matter. A defense counsel is a defense counsel. His job is to represent clients in court, okay? And even the law, the rules of professional conduct says you cannot even reject a brief. You can only do so on certain grounds. There's just a few exceptions, 1 or 2 exceptions, okay? So that statement is quite, it looks like what came from the marketplace. That is the problem with our institutions. It shouldn't be, okay? It shouldn't be. The DSS, they are supposed to prosecute, not to persecute, okay? They are supposed to do their job professionally, but they are not doing it. And they are losing their credibility by the day. They are losing their integrity by the day, and before you know it, they will be overrun like the ordeal or the omen that has befell the Nigerian police. They are part of the police force. They are respected because they are respected because of the dignity they have kept themselves, neat, clean before the public with certain level of probity. Okay, they have done that over the years. But right now, they no longer care about their status. They no longer care about the virtue, what they've acquired so far before now. They want to throw everything to the dogs right now. That's what they are doing, and very soon they will come down like the police, and they will be seen as nobody, nothing any longer.
To be afraid of or to be considered professional.
Yes.
You recall in 2015, Justice Ademola asked that Nnamdi Kanu should be released immediately. The SSS actually filed a case against him, saying that because of his dual citizenship, there's a tendency that he was going to escape bail. They said that they found acts of transactions in his bank account sponsoring terrorist activities. But regardless of that particular petition written to the court at the time, the court said it wasn't lawful, it wasn't constitutional to continue to detain him. And the question now is, why has it been difficult for the DSS or the SSS to obey court order? What isolates them? What gives them the upper hand in terms of hierarchy to respecting court orders? Is it that there is a different measure from the executive when it comes to the DSS and the SSS compared to what obtains with the judiciary? So when we try to put a scale of balance, why is the DSS given more priority, more, would I say, power than the judiciary?
No, not like the DSS is giving more power.
Because they arbitrarily abuse
it's just an abuse
court orders. They don't obey it.
Yeah,
most times, and nothing happens. There's no sanction committed against them.
Yes.
There's no sanction issued against them by the court.
Yes, you know what the court does is, if the court makes an order, and let's say, for example, you disobey the order, it's not for the court to come and sanction the person who disobeyed the order. No, they are the person who got judgment must bring a contempt proceedings to the court. Yes, it is that contempt proceedings that the court will act on to commit the offender, the person who disobeyed, to commit the judgment debtor to prison or any other. First, they will ask them to come and show cause. They will come to court to come and show cause why they should not be committed to prison. And afterwards, the court will take its action. So it's not in the purview of the judiciary to invoke, as it were, punishment on those who disobeyed order. The party judgment creditor must initiate the process for the court to invoke its powers against the person who offends.
So why has Aloy Ijimako, barrister, what's his name, Michael Zekome, why haven't they signed up for contempt of court?
Of course, that is where they should be. That is my argument. Because when you keep going from court to court asking for bail, and you know that there's an institution somewhere that feels that they have to keep someone unnecessarily, that institution is stubborn, they are not letting him go, and you keep getting these orders, doctors to come and visit him, the other courts say release him, and he's still in that place. And the only reason the federal government is giving her that is the association is proscribed. It does not follow. A citizen is involved. His rights are protected by the Constitution. He has filed a matter to enforce that right. The court have acted. Okay? What you need to do is to release him.
All right, finally, Barrister Evans, because we need to proceed to the next segment of VOP this morning. The president's aura has been quiet, almost like he doesn't know what's going on in the southeast. He has not come out to address anything concerning the sit-at-home, concerning the beatings and pillaging of these supposed unknown persons or miscreants exerting mayhem in some regions of the southeast. Meanwhile, during his campaign, one of his promises was to quell the crisis in the southeast and possibly have a dialogue with, the warring parties. And one of the responses, or would I say advice that was given to him was to see how he could mediate in terms of giving a pardon to Nnamdi Kanu. Why have we not heard anything, any response yet, from his body language? Why have we not seen him trying to do something about it?
There is nothing they did not tell us during the campaign that they would do. There is nothing. In fact, during the campaign, some of the politicians were going up and down, eating corn on the street, and they're eating all sorts. You understand? They just want to appease your psychology, to come to that point of emotionalism. That's what he did. To get the vote he got in Rivers and all that, and just to get some vote. That's the essence. When it comes to governance, they cannot, he has not done. I'm surprised, because for me, I would have thought that since, that at least the Southeast didn't really turn out for him as such, they should be the first part of the country he should reach out to. You understand? Okay? I know that, okay, this is the situation and all that, but this issue of crisis, unknown gunmen, sit-at-home order, all that, he should have done something. And it's something to show that. Because the problem of the Southeast is not even the unknown gunmen, the sit-at-home. There's a remote cause.
Yes, it's a remote cause.
That marginalization
yes.
factor, which nobody's talking about. Yes. Nobody's talking about it. Even when you restructure the state, you have 5 there, you have 6 everywhere. You think that's okay, we should just be going like that. People will raise questions. And those questions are valid questions, no matter how you look at it. Is either that part is part of Nigeria or not.
Or not.
You understand? But as long as we speak today, is part of Nigeria, whatever it is that every other part has, that part should have it. Yes. You understand? And so that remote cause has not been addressed. A government should be sensitive enough to address that remote cause, because when the remote cause is addressed, you will see reasonable, peaceful. Nigerians all over the regions are very creative people. Okay, we have capacity to do things well, and then grow. But a government must be able to give us that platform, that enabling environment to do so. And if there are complaints, there are issues in one part of the country, address it as you are addressing the other part. We saw how they tried to address the issue of the Boko Haram and the insurgency and banditry and all that. As much as they've done that, they should ensure that the entire country have the same solve problems of the people. That's why you are voted.
All right. Thank you so much, Barrister Evans Sufeni. I really do appreciate you coming on VOP this morning. Now, up next, we'll definitely be looking into business. After business, we have entertainment, and of course, James will be joining us for sports. So, why don't we quickly head into business? The Nigeria Civil Aviation Authority has commenced an extensive probe into the recent incident involving water contamination in the fuel tanks of certain aircrafts. The NCAA disclosed that the move was to prevent future occurrences of such safety breaches. Now, speaking currently at a meeting with domestic international operators, aviation fuel suppliers, and the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority in Abuja on Thursday, said that the Director General of the NCAA, Captain Musa Nuhu, stated that the agency was intensifying its investigation to determine the root cause of the issue. Now, according to Nuhu, the issue of fuel contamination was beyond the purview of the aviation ecosystem, hence engagement with the regulator of the downstream sector. He added that the collaboration has become imperative because of the noticed gaps due to the lack of deliberate collaboration between the NCAA, NMDPRA, and FAN on fuel quality monitoring. The NCAA boss stated that the agency, FAN, NMDPRA, NSIB airliners, pilots, fuel depot operators, aircraft maintenance officers, and other stakeholders will be part of a committee that would be set up to ensure the aviation fuel quality is constant. Meanwhile, the federal government recorded a revenue shortfall of 13.33 billion naira from gas flaring penalties issued against oil and gas firms in January and February 2023. Earlier, it was reported that the federal government would impose 22 billion naira fine on oil and gas firms operating onshore for flaring 24 billion standard cubic feet of gas, valued at about 40 billion naira, which is almost $86 million, between January and February 2023. This was according to a recent gas flare data by the National Oil Spill Detection and Response Agency, which noted that the companies operating onshore would pay the penalties for violating the gas flaring rule. The report said companies fled 19.14 billion SCF of gas in January and 14.04 billion SCF of gas in February 2023, contributing 1.3 million tons of carbon dioxide emission with power generation potential of 2,500 gigawatt hours. On the other hand, companies operating offshore fled 25.8 billion SCF of gas valued at $90 million, which is capable of generating 2,600 gigawatt hours of electricity and had an equivalent of 1.4 million tons of carbon dioxide emission. In particular, the offshore companies fled 10.84 billion standard cubic feet of gas and 13.09 billion standard cubic feet of gas in January and February 2023, respectively. NOSDRA did not state how much penalties offshore companies would pay for the flare. And that's it that we have for you right here in business. Up next is entertainment and sports. Stay with us.